Well, hello there again, and welcome back to Brambleberry. When I last left you, I was working on the solar panel mounts, and we got the pivot points made here. So today we're going to try and move this project along a little bit further. First order of business here is to get some blocks to put in here. I thought about using some of those cutoffs from the 4x4 posts, but they're pretty hard for me to get cut through. I mean, I guess not hard, but my saw is, the blade on it doesn't go that deep. Well, you saw when I had to cut them off. But anyway, I think I'm just going to cut off pieces of 2x4 to stick in here. The 2x4 will already be the correct width, so I just need to cut it to a length that's the same as this, and that should do it. So I had these cut-offs from those other 2x4s that I used. I'm just going to use them to make my blocks here. We'll do one and then use that for the template for the rest of them. And there is the first one. I see the same thing up there and on both ends of that one. Are you wanting to see me put all them screws in? No? Okay. There we are. Got the blocks on both ends there. And remember my X's? You thought I was gonna forget, didn't you? No, I didn't forget. Maybe you forgot. The X's are in front on both sides. Now I got a couple of ways I could go about this next part. Actually, I have to build the frame to put the panels on. I could try and build it on here one piece at a time, but then it would be kind of a pain to get everything lined up. So I think what I'm gonna do is build the outer frame, like the rectangle part of it, and then lift it up and set it on top of this and zip some screws up into here so that's attached, and then flip the whole thing over and put screws in on the other side. And then I can come in and measure and put my middle bracing on for where I'm going to attach the solar panels in the center. At least that's my plan now. It might change. You just have to wait and see. So if you watch the videos on building these racks, these bottom plates here are 10-foot long 2x4s. And if you might remember, when I built them, I miscalculated a bit and I had to put these pieces on the end here so that I could get the brackets on. But I think I have a solution for this. So my other solar panels are a little bit different size. Remember, the brackets are in a different space here. So I think what I'm gonna do is make the rack the same as I did for these, except when I go to mount these, this middle one is gonna be one of the other solar panels that's sized differently, and I can adjust it up and down a little bit and probably squeeze these in a bit so that I can get it all on these one racks instead of having to add these end pieces on. But if I have to add the end pieces on, it's not that huge of a deal. I'll do it, but hopefully I don't have to do that. So to size these, I already know that this needs to be the 10-foot boards, so I don't have to cut those. What I do have to cut is the end cap boards, and I want this to be as long as I can. So I don't want to put them inside or in between the 10-foot. I want to put them on the outside. So I need to go the same length as these boards, but I need to add 3 inches, and that'll give me the thickness of two 2x4s together, because 2x4s, even though it says they're 2 inches by 4 inches, they're actually 1.5 inches by the time they get them all milled down and everything. So I need to add, this was 5 feet long, 60 inches, so it's going to add 3, so that's 63 inches. And I need 2 of those. So one of these boards I'm using has a wane in it. So I'm gonna be pretty mindful of how I put that, because I don't want that to end up being where I need to screw down a panel bracket. I'd rather have this side out because it's nice and flat. Like I did on those other racks, I'm gonna be adding these metal braces as well, just for a little bit of extra support and connection between these boards. I have had these other screws, especially in this treated lumber, because it's kind of soft and wet right now. I've had those pull out, so this I'm putting on here just as extra security. And then you just rinse and repeat on all 4 corners. I was gonna put up that external rectangle like I said, and then put the cross bracings in later, but I think I'm not going to do that, because I think it'll be easier to do it on the ground. It's going to make this thing a little bit heavier, but I already have on these other racks, I have the center points marked out for those boards. So if I mark it on this one, I don't have to do any extra figuring or measuring, because I already did it for those, and it should work when I put it up there for putting the other solar panels on up there. So I think that's what we're gonna try. So I got it all lined up here in the edge, and then there's my center point marks there and there. So I'm just gonna transfer those marks over to this board. On second thought, I'm not gonna install those down here, because I have a feeling when I put that thing up there, there's gonna need to be a little bit of flex to get to fit around those. And if I install those other boards, it's gonna make it a lot more rigid, which I want eventually, but not right now. And technically it should be the same length as those boards are, but who knows? When we get it up there, I might have to adjust a little. It might be a little shorter, a little bit longer. So I'm gonna wait on that, but I am still gonna put my marks on here, so that when I do put it up there, I'll know where those boards are supposed to go. And on third thought, I think I'm back to my original plan of just putting it up there. Because the more I got thinking about it, if I'm trying to condense my panels in closer to each other, then those, where I have those cross braces, are not going to be exactly right. One of them might be, but both of them will not, I don't think. Well, I've got some marks on there. We'll just kind of see how it comes out. So I'm actually getting a little ahead of myself. Did you figure that out yet? So what I need to figure out really is where to position these pieces here onto this so that it's centered up there. So I got to measure the distance from one of those over to the next and figure out how that centers on this whole rack. All right, so I got my marks made. This should be the outside edge of that. I got them down there too on both sides, like that. And now the interesting part is going to be trying to get this up on there. Yeah, we'll just give it a go. I'll be sure to have the camera going so you can see all the mishaps along the way. So it's up there, but it's super wobbly, and I don't like that. Especially when I get panels on there. Good wind comes along, it might blow the whole thing down. So it works. And I think if these posts were a lot shorter, it would not be quite so wobbly. But the problem is that they're not, and I needed it to be about as tall as it is. I could have made it a little shorter, but not much, and I don't think it would have been a lot less wobbly if I would have made it that much shorter. So I have to adapt, and I have to figure out how to make this thing a little less wobbly. Actually, a lot less wobbly. So I have some ideas, but I haven't decided what they're going to be yet. One thing I could have done, probably should have done, instead of using 4x4 posts, is used 4x6 posts. They would have been a little bit more rigid, but I think probably as tall as these are, they still would have had some wobble to them too. So if you make something along the lines of this design, I would suggest using 4x6 posts instead of 4x4. And if you can make the whole thing shorter, that might be better too. But here I am with mine wobbly and tall. So we are at the close of another day, and unfortunately, we're at the close of another video. So we're going to have to see in another video what I do to remedy this situation. But we'll figure it out, and I thank you for watching. Have a good one.